tonight to have my own dad. We have never did a one-on-one before. I've had mom and dad before, but I'm just so honored that dad could come and just kind of tell his financial story as far as how life, started with him from cleaning floors at Disney World as a young husband, as a young father, and then to where he's at today and sharing some of those stories and the wisdom that he can empower us and educate him and some of the lessons that he has taught me. And so we're just going to dialogue tonight, him and I, and we hope that you guys are able to learn from some of the things that dad has, journeyed through life in itself. And so for some fathers that's on here, dad has 70 plus years of just wisdom that he could just literally share here with us tonight. So I'm so honored, Dad, to have you. You can come off mute and let's just kind of like this dialogue tonight and just come to the Let's Win Financial family and give them some good wisdom tonight on fatherhood. So pops, man. So guys, I call Dad Pops. So we just kind of freestyle. So pops, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, we want to appreciate you for taking a few minutes out of your time and coming to the Let's Win financial family here and speak to us. So it's Father's Day weekend, and so as it's Father's Day weekend, let's just kind of just get into some of the things that what we want to talk about, right? And I guess one of the first questions I want to ask you is, how was life for you as a young father?
Okay. First, before I get into talking about being a young father, just let me say good evening to the community. I'm always listening, I'm always on. And I want to say to you, Sherwin, thank you for the opportunity to come tonight and to speak a few words of wisdom to the community. And of course, I've been learning from the community. And I'm honored, Sherwin, to be called your father. I'm honored to be called Pops. And so this evening, Pops is on. And I thank you for allowing me to come on this evening and to share a few words of wisdom with the community.
Absolutely.
Okay, your question was how difficult it was to be a young father.
Well, I wouldn't say difficult, but that could be part of it. Just how was life in general as a young father for you?
Okay, all right. Well, the word difficult does stands out because when you say young father, I was a very young father. I was a teenage father. I was 18 years of age when I became a father. And the way I became a father was that um, I married my high school sweetheart. We were 18 years of age, just graduating from high school. I had some opportunities to go to college, but it really wasn't inspired. Didn't have anyone to hold me accountable, didn't have anyone to encourage me. But I had some opportunities, and I really didn't take the advantage of it because I was, I guess, somewhat in love, and they say love is blinding. But I was so in love, I wanted to be with my sweetheart, and so we agreed to get married. But as a young father, it really didn't dawn on me as being a young father so much as it was that I was in love with my sweetheart. And as a young father, life was somewhat difficult. It was very challenging to be 18 years old and to be a teenage father. But one of the ways of overcoming my difficulty and a lot of my challenges was because I love my wife, and I always had a desire to be connected to a family. My parents separated when I was around 4 years old, and so I always wanted to be a part of a family. So one of my goals was to have a family and to be a good father and to be a good um, family man. And so that was always wanted to be, always was one of my desires because as growing up I just felt indifferent when I was around other families. And so as a young father, I wanted to be a good father, I wanted to be a good family man, and I wanted to have a good family. And so God gave me the desires of my heart.
Man, that's awesome, Dad. So God bless you, man, with a wife, which is mom, and four kids, which is three boys and daughters, and our sister named Shanae. And then also, Dad, we talked about our in the social media post a little bit earlier in the week, right? Not only just being a dad and a father, but you're also a minister, man. Over 40 plus years now. What would you say inspired you to become a minister, or when did a calling happen for you to become a minister?
Okay. I'm going into my 46th year of pastoring and ministering, but I was inspired by the Holy Spirit. In growing up, I grew up in a Christian home. My grandmother carried me to church and to Sunday school. And she also introduced me to Christ through her Christian lifestyle. My grandmother exemplified Christ in everything that she did. We prayed, we sang, we served. And so I was really inspired with my grandmother. And my calling came when I was a child. I didn't understand how God was dealing with me, but I knew it was something different in my life. And as I began to grow up, and as I began to study the Word of God, and I relate my experience to with David. David, who was a young boy, who was a shepherd boy, but God was dealing with him at a young age. And when you read the Bible in First Samuel, the 16th chapter, you'll find out that David was anointed to be the king of Israel. And the word of God says that the anointing was upon David all of his days, in other words, all of his life. And so, in essence, when we say the anointing, it means that the presence, the power of God was with David. David had been chosen, David had been anointed, David had purpose to be God's chosen one and to be the king over God's people. And so um, I was led by the Holy Spirit, but I accepted my calling when I was 26 years of age. That's when I submitted my life to God, to pastor, to minister unto God's people at the age of 26.
Wow, man, that's awesome, man. I mean, we grew up, man, all our life as being preacher kids, and Sherman, the twin. For the people that don't know, I got a twin brother, and we up and down the pews, and Dad's just always been a preacher man and been known as a family man. And so, man, Dad, what an honor, man. Not only is a privilege, for me to be your son, but for you to be my dad, and I always consider you, man, like a living legend, because all phases of my life, man, you have just really been there 100% supportive in all of my life, man. So it's just an honor. But let's talk about this though, Dad. As far as your first job, I want to say your first job was that the job at Disney World?
Yes, my first job. I was 18 years old, young father, married, right out of high school. I had a wife and had a son. But let me just tell you what my philosophy was at an early age, and I grew up with a work ethic. We had to work during the summer, and so I just believe that if I could get a job, didn't matter what kind of job, but I just believe that if I could get a job and had the opportunity to work, I would be able to take care of my family. So I went off to Disney World. Disney World was just opening up. I think it was the second year. And I got hired as a custodian. And I worked on the night shift, the graveyard shift, from 12 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning. Guess what kind of job I had? And of course, they said to me, the job would be dirty, but I said to them, I just want a job. I want to work. I was very considerate that I had a wife and a son, and so I was hired as a custodial, and I was cleaning the restrooms. I hated my job, but I needed the income. And back in 1972, I believe my gross income for the week was like $102 per week.
Wow.
$102 per week. And so I hated my job. But as I worked the job, I used to always say to God, Lord, I know you have a better job than this for me. And so I continued to work. I didn't quit. I didn't give up because I knew that I had a responsibility to take care of my wife and my young son. And so that was my first job, and I did it well. I had my fourth grade teacher to teach us, and this was the motto. She said, "Be the labor, great or small. You do it well or none at all." So anything I approach in life to do, I give it my best, and so I became the best custodian that you could possibly be, and that was my first job. And I thank God for that job because that job taught me how to be appreciative for the next job that I got.
Wow, wow. And so I would say not only just being your first job, but we mentioned that you was a minister as well, and you had a calling at 26, and so now you are having one child, and now you having another child, then you have twins, and so you working full time, you're doing ministry full time. And for that, one of the things that I could say as a kid growing up, I will always see you at the dinner table like where you're at now, and I always wonder, like, man, why does dad have this checkbook out? And now that I'm a little bit older, I understand that daddy was sitting there paying the bills, taking care of the family. And that's always known for you to do as far as just take care of the family, man. And so I would just say this here, LesWin family. My mom is also on the call tonight. But I could just tell you this here, how good of a man my dad is my mom is I've never seen my mom pay not one bill. And I've been living for 43 years. I've never seen my mom have to take care of one bill because dad worked hard, very hard working. So dad, can you talk a little bit more about it was as far as still working through the jobs and doing the ministry and then still at the same time trying to be a father? How challenging was that?
Yeah, it, it I can say that it was very challenging, and it was, but it was also very rewarding because I had a wife that I loved, and I had a wife that loved her husband and loved her children. And of course, during the era when I grew up, my father taught us. He said, "I want you all to become men." And of course, during that time, men took care of their families. So I grew up with that same philosophy, is that it's my job to take care of my family, not my wife's responsibility, but my responsibility. So I did whatever was necessary to take care of the family before I was preaching, which became bivocational. But when I was a custodian at Disney World, I had another custodial job from 8 to 10 before I went to my 12 to 8 job in the morning. So I was had two jobs back then to take care
Wow.
of the family, and so going from um, not being a custodial, taking care of the family, being bivocational, it was just instilled in me to take care of the family. It was not my wife's job to take care of the family. That was my responsibility. And she had the privilege to help if she desired, but there was no demands upon her to take care of the family. I felt that that was my responsibility. So my wife, I never asked her to pay any of our bills or anything. Um, she don't really realize how privileged she is, but she did have a job, and the money that she made, I told her to spend it on you and the children, and Lord knows she did just that. And so
Yes,
I
she
told,
did. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, she did that. Now she
We was
did
very
that.
spoiled, very
Yeah,
spoiled.
yeah.
So Dad, let me ask this question here, right? So you bought a house, man, with four kids. You was married, and what age was it when you bought your first house?
I want to say I was somewhere around 27, Yeah, I was somewhere around 27, right at 28,
Right.
when you guys were born. And that was the first home, but we had a mobile home. We bought that mobile home when I think I was 19, right at 20 when I bought the mobile home. And we moved from the mobile home into the single family member home at 28. I have four children at 28. And yeah, yeah.
So Dad, you've always, man, been good, as we mentioned on the social media pages, right? And on the email that went out today, you've always been good managing money. So when you bought that house, right? How long did it take you to pay off that house when you bought it?
Amazingly, God has always blessed me. And I really didn't have the financial knowledge, but it was just something about me and money. I paid the home off in 15 years. It was a
Wow,
30-year mortgage.
wow. So Dad, how do you pay? You was doubling up. What was your philosophy as far as paying off the mortgage?
I had it refinanced from 30 years to 15 years, and that's how I paid it off early.
Wow. So when
Yeah.
you refinanced it from 30 to 15 years, was that like a challenge since payments was kind of doubling up, or you was pretty much managing the double payments?
I was I, I was managing the payments because my finances had increased. I was making pretty good money, and so that was one of my goals was to pay the house off, and so I paid it off in 15 years.
Wow, wow, that's awesome. So that when did you see as far as like the transition, like as a father, right? As far as responsibility, being able to take care of your family. When did you see as far as like the finances starting to kind of open up and you kind of got in the flow? What part of life did you see that happening?
Pr- Pretty much is when all of you all graduated from college. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. When
Yes.
you all graduated from college, and we're all out of the house, and Mom and I. um were alone, that's when I really saw finances really become a real blessing. Yeah, a real blessing. And I've always had a desire to work, so I made a lot of overtime because I knew if I made overtime, that was time and a half. And so overtime was money that I used wisely. I would save that money, and I'm telling you, if you save it, it will multiply, it accumulate.
Mm. So, Dad, give us some nuggets here, right? What were some of your philosophies about money? We talked about saving, talked about multiplying. I think you even said at one point you gave us a story where you just had some money saved in the house, right? What was your thought process on that? Just having that money saved.
Well, I had money saved. Uh, Long story short, when I was probably 19, my first child, and I came home from work one day, and the babysitter told me that he was at the hospital. He had cut his foot, and so I went to the hospital, and there was my son, foot lacerated, and they sewed him up. And when they sewed him up, my insurance had not become active at my job. And so I had to pay cash out of my pocket. And I just believe in paying cash. And so it took all the money I had, which was about $50, to take care of sewing him up. And I said to myself that I would never be in a position that whenever my children needed me, that I wouldn't be able to provide for them. And so that really promoted me. So I always started having money for whatever might come forth. And so over the years, I've saved and I've saved, and I didn't even tell my wife this. But at one time, I had 50,000 cash dollars inside of the home.
Wow.
And it wasn't vacation money, it wasn't to buy a new car. It was money that I was going to use for investing.
Wow. And Dad, this was back in like what? This was like was it early 2000s, late 1990s?
It was around 2006, I believe. Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
2006. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And so Dad, what was the philosophy on that? You just every time you get paid, you would just, get cash out, then you have it in the house to save. Well, how do you just accumulate 50,000 all of a sudden?
Well, I was saving money weekly out of
Mm.
my check. It automatically went into the savings. Automatically, it went into the savings, and of course, I was saving it in my checking account as well. And I was working a lot of overtime, and I had gotten up to um, making good money. I had worked on this job 36 years, and I was one of the highest paid employees there. Well, kind of just let me tell you, I went from being a custodial cleaning restrooms to becoming a welder. I was a welder. That's what I did for 30 years, and I made good money. And so I was able to save, and save, and I just had more than I needed.
So
And
Dad,
so
let me ask you this question here. With the 50,000, what did you do with that?
here's what happened. I have always had a desire to be an owner, and that came from when I was a boy. I used to see the landlord would come to the house for rent, and we never had the rent. And I would listen at the conversation. It promised the landlord. He wouldn't come every month. He was a wealthy guy, and so he saw our situation. He maybe come 3 times a year, and we couldn't pay him then. But as a child, I saw that, and I said to myself, I want to own my own place one day, rather than rent. I knew right then, as a boy, I wanted to own my own place. I wanted to own property, and I had opportunities to buy property, and I didn't do it along the way. And so that $50,000, when I retired, the Spirit of the Lord said to me one day, 1 block from where I live, go look at that property. I went and looked at it, and the Spirit of the Lord said, buy it. I said, okay, Lord. I called the attorney, made an appointment to go see him the next day. The Spirit of the Lord said to me, go around the corner, look at that property. Same day. I said, okay, Lord. He said, buy that property. I bought 2 properties in one day. And so I took that $50,000 and it started me with those 2 properties.
Wow. Wow. Dad, you know what? I maybe I've heard this, but I didn't realize you bought two within the same day, man. Wow, that's awesome, man. I mean, I
Same day.
always knew you've been good at managing, and those properties, man, have served you well
Oh,
because
oh,
you've been able to pay them off, and now it's just cash flow, and it's just a whole leverage deal. Now, here's the crazy part about it, right? Even still to this day, we was home. I was home with you. I've seen you in May almost every weekend, and you and I, we still have these conversations, even at your rightfully age, as retired from your job, but still ministering. Man, you still talking about ownership
yeah,
as far as buying the block, with opportunities that's available around us, our hometown where we grew up at. And so your mindset, that I think that's the reason why you're able to be successful as you are today because of I think the key word you just said is force ownership, right? Being able to manage
yes,
your resources and have ownership.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. And also, too, my grandfather, my mother's father, he was a farmer and he owned 300 acres of land. He lost that 300 acres of land. And of course, during that particular time, it really didn't mean much to us because that land was a way of life, the way my grandfather lived. And but as I grew older, I began to realize how valuable that 300 acres of land was, and so it made me also wanted to be a owner of assets as well. And God has blessed me. Yeah.
So that so Dan, let's talk about this a little bit. We started tracking net worth a few years ago, and for the LesWin financial community, net worth is pretty much taking all your assets minus your liabilities, and that give you your net worth. So Dad, over the years through working and paying down debt, which you didn't really have a lot of because you just been able, just like you say, believe in just paying things off. Your net worth, you saw it at one point, and then all of a sudden, man, it just started like just creeping up. And today, we can say that your net worth, and I want to say yours because it's you and mom.
Yes,
It's been good stewards of your resources, and your net worth today is seven digits, right? And I
yes.
know you don't feel comfortable talking about it as a minister and all that. It's the uncomfortable piece, but how does it feel at this particular starting out working at Disney World cleaning floors to your net worth as far as what you're valued at, right? Being over seven digits. What's the feeling on that?
First, the feeling at my age is security. Security for your mom and I. Being able to be independent. We're not dependent on you and your siblings to take care of us. It also gives us freedom. Not that I'm doing ministry or anything for income, but I'm doing it because of the love and the calling upon my life. And so it just gives us a lot of opportunities to be able to feel secure, grateful, thankful, because I never, and I say this to you all a lot of times, I never would imagine how God has abundantly blessed us, not financially, but with a family who believes in God, who trusts in God, who lives God, and and the community probably never heard you say this because you're just you. But I'm one of the proudest fathers that you can ever ask of when it comes to uh, having a family, having children like you all. I tell everybody, and people really don't believe me when I tell them, is that I got some of the best children and grandchildren in the world. God has blessed us, and God has given us more than we will ever be able to reap or deserve. And so I'm just grateful. I'm happy. My greatest joy is that you are prospering. Your siblings are prospering. My grandchildren are prospering. And you all don't have to endure some of the struggles that I endure. I'm grateful.
Mhm. Man, that's awesome in itself here. And so, Dad, when we talk about, and there's a few more questions here, right? When we talk about legacy and we talk about, Father's Day weekend, and what does that mean to you as far as securing your legacy? How would you define your legacy as a father?
Okay. Well, legacy to me is so wonderful, and we all have it. Everybody have it. It's not so much legacy is not so much of assets or wealth, but legacy is passing on that which you believe in, your beliefs, your ideology, your faith. Is passing it down from one generation to the next, and it's biblical. And so I'm just such a proud father because we are family, and God has given me the desire of my heart. I wanted to have a good family. Growing up, I wanted to live in a family. I didn't have that. But now God has given me a great family. And the family that God has given me, you all believe and you all live the same way that your mother and I have raised you all. And not only are you living that way, but you're passing it on to your children. And so I'm grateful and thankful at the age of 18 years of age, having a son as a teenager. And as I saw my grandchildren at the funeral last week, they were all sitting together. And I told them, I said, you know, I never could imagine that what was God had put in me and your grandmother would be you all sitting here at this table. And so there's a seed inside of all of us. And we want that seed. You talk about, you know, how do you want it to water it and to nourish it. I want to be able for the seed that God has given me to be able to continue to strive and to thrive as life continues from one generation to the next. I'm just so happy to be able to see you and your siblings and my grandchildren doing good things in life while I can live and see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, Dad, I gotta say this here too, man. I'll be remiss if I didn't say this. I mean, 40 plus years in the ministry, man, you've married hundreds of people,
Yeah,
baptized hundreds of people,
yeah,
did hundreds of funerals, man, made sacrifices and really doing God's divine work and really sometimes sacrificing the church, before family. But that just
yeah.
gives us more respect for you because man, you honor God. And I think that more importantly, man, that's one of the main reasons why you could probably say where you're at today. As far as just being in the blessing as far as your seed in itself and seeing the fruits of your labor, man. So that for me, when I look at your legacy, it's more of it's not necessarily the personal success. I think it's the significance of the impact that you had not only other people but the impact that you had most importantly on your kids because
Mm-hmm.
me and all three of my siblings on this call today and all times when I do these classes my siblings oftentimes may not be on these particular classes but they're on tonight because of the amount of respect that we have for you. My wife Leslie is on here, and man, the amount of love, man, that we
Uh,
have for you is like instrumental because we never had a want. We never had a worry. I mean, even LesWin family, it just even from this perspective, man, I got into a situation. You guys have probably heard me say this before, but just the love from my dad, I even got in a situation where I got in a financial bind. Yeah, I think it was back in maybe like 2006, 2007, and I needed money to get out of payday loan, and that's the reason why I do LesWin Financial now because I was in that bind. Lord knows I need to get out that bond. I was in a hole. And I knew it was one person that I could call, but I did not want to call because I didn't want to hear that story. But man, dad bailed me out. I want to say dad gave me 2,500, $3,000 just to get out of the payday loan cycle. And I know dad, a lot of these things probably, it was just okay, I'm gonna give you this lesson. But it's things like that in life though, man, where you planted a seed where it really changed me as who I was as a man. And I knew that I could not be in those same situations. And I'm just so grateful, man, that God bless you to for your heart, man, your service, man, your love that you have for your family. I think most importantly, being married to mom, the 50 plus years, enduring any challenges, all challenges, but at the end of the day, still sticking it out. And so for me, man, that's when I say define your legacy, that's what I see you as, man, like the sacrifice and the impact that you had on other people. So just grateful for that. I do dad want to get into one more topic here before we close, right?
mhm.
Being that this is Father's Day weekend, being that this is a financial community, as far as where God has taken you from one level to another level, right? We talk about legacy and you say passing things down. I think one of your biggest attributes when it comes to your finances is real estate, right?
Yes.
And then now when you wake up now and you look at your investment account, right? What's your feelings when you look at your investment account? I mean, because I know, I'm teaching and all that good stuff, but what's the feeling like, man, when you're watching the stock market and learning more about your money making money for you?
Yeah. You know, I'm in a place now that, you know, I've achieved a goal of beyond my imagination. It's not so much the finances as it is that I have a thirst to want to learn more about financing. And so as I listen to you, I do a lot of studying, a lot of research, and I'm one who loves to learn. And so really that's what really empowers me is that the knowledge that I now receive as I do research. And that's one of the things that that when I first approached you, I was seeking and I was searching, but I didn't really know. And you took it and you went with it. All I knew about basically was that I read the newspaper every day. I saw all these numbers. I heard about the stock market. And that one day I had a conversation with you. And so the seed began to grow. And so now when I wake up and I'm reading every day, I'm reading about the market. I'm studying about the market. That's what empowers me, the knowledge, not so much as the finances, because I'll pass the knowledge on, whereas I only give up so much of my finances because I just believe that some of it have to remain for the next coming generation.
Yeah, well, that's powerful. That's powerful. And that one of the greatest things that we've been able to do as a father, man, as far as one of the greatest things that you can give your kids is the gift that keeps on giving. And
Yeah.
so you mentioned as far as you bought rental properties, things of that nature, right? And so what we just did a couple years ago, now not just your primary home for you and mom, but your rental properties that y'all own. One of the biggest things that we always do is for us to find a legacy, and what we talk a lot about here in the LesWin financial community is dad was able to get all the homes, got a trust set up, and move all the homes inside and transferred into the trust. And that's so important, guys, when you're able to have a trust set up and then you transfer those homes inside of the trust. This way, guys, you avoid probate and you can easily, the ownership. Dad talked about ownership, being able to easily pass down ownership of those homes to your particular heirs without having to go to probate and through courts. Because to be honest with you, most African Americans, that's how we lose our assets because
Mhm.
we didn't necessarily have proper estate planning in place. So, Dad, without you having the right resources and being able to manage it and do all the things you've been able to do, man. I appreciate you for just listening to me and executing and just taking it all in. And for us, man, it's to the point where this is legacy for me because the Riley family will continue to have a strong generation because of the seeds that you planted. So Dad, do you have any final words tonight? And we'll probably take some questions if anybody have any questions for Dad towards the end. But for a final word, a motivation or inspiration to leave the community.
Okay, just really one word, and I pray that this word, one word, would help you. It not only helps with finances, but just life in general. Continue to be patient. Continue to be patient and be consistent. Stay with what you're doing. Yeah, I got in the game at a late age, but God still blessed me mightily. So I'm saying to you, sometimes it looks bleak, but stay in the game. Be patient and be consistent.
Wow, wow, and that's a word in itself. I think that's all parts of life, right?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
all parts of life. And Mom, are you still on here? I would like to see if Mom like to say a word. I'm not sure if I think she got off. I don't see her on, but she was on a little bit early. I was wanting to see if she had a word. But Dad, thank you again, man. It's Father's Day weekend to all the fathers here in the Less Win financial community. Want to say Happy Father's Day Sunday. I hope you get some time to spend some time with your particular kids. But I'm just grateful just to have Dad here. And there's Mom. Mom, you want to say anything here to the Less Win financial community? Dad's been speaking, but I just want to share with the community here. This is what is it, Mom? Is it 53 or 54 years next month?
53.
53 years. Guys, this is what 53 years of love. And Mom, I won't put you on the spotlight because I've been kind of spotlight Dad, right? This is a woman right here, right, that has only been with one man in her life. And that's that man that she's standing right next to. And so that's the love that I have for my mom and the respect. But mom, any words that you would like to share before we close out tonight?
Yeah, I just want to say, um, like your dad said, congratulations um, on inviting your dad during his Father's Day week to get his wisdom and knowledge. And I told him earlier, I told your dad I'm proud of him. I'm thankful for him. He has led our family. He has been a wonderful provider down through the years. He has done nothing but take care of us. And we had a pretty good life that he provided for us. I don't think you all wanted for very many things that you did not get. And today we stand as being teenage parents, and now we are uh, celebrating 53 years of God's grace and His mercy that have blessed us in a mighty way and a security way. And to have the gift of four beautiful children who have blessed us and who also in the 7 digit family as well. God is good. He's blessing us. Thank you, Sherwin. Wonderful tonight. God.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for that. And guys, as we close tonight, this is one of the reasons who I am because of my parents and having those values and the love and the wisdom being instilled to me and me today as a father, being able to raise three young, like I say, kings. And so a lot of things that I'm able to teach my kids is because of what my dad has taught me. And so all the fathers that's on this call, that's watching on the LesWin financial page, or be watching us later on the YouTube page. Man, I continue to salute you guys, man. Continue to be strong for your kids because the stigma out here for us can be very difficult. But man, continue to love your kids, man. Continue to be the best father that you can continue to be because everything that you do and how you move, man, that's an impact on our kids' lives. And so, man, we got to continue to be the forefront, the father figures, the examples to lead our kids to the next generation. So, Pops, man, thank you again for coming to the community. Thank you for your love, support, always being here. And so, I guess here before I close out, did anybody from the Let's Win financial community, maybe a question for Dad before we close out, or any sentiments, or kind of curious, anything, any questions for Dad potentially? If
Hey,
so,
Sherwin.
continue.
Good evening.
Hey, Travis, how's it going?
Great, great, great. Just one question. I would like to ask him what's his spiritual approach to finances. If he could talk on maybe tithing or whatever it was,
That's a good
giving.
question.
Okay. Yeah, that is the key. All right. That is the key. Tithing is not so much that God needs what you give to Him, but tithing is an act of your faith that you will trust God to take care of you. In essence, what you're saying is, God, you are my number one priority, not my bills, not my friends, not my good times, but you are my provider. And I'm telling you, His word says He'll open up the windows of heaven and pour you out blessings that you will not have enough room to receive. I'm a witness of that. I give more than a tenth. And what I love about that is that I've learned to be a distributor rather than a beggar. God will give you more than enough if you honor His word. More than enough.
It's a good word. That's a
Thank you. I
great question,
appreciate that.
Travis. Great question. Great question. Any other questions here before we close out? All right. Well, Dad, we appreciate you again, man. Happy Father's Day to you. And as always, Let's Win Financial Family, thank you guys for chiming in, for rocking with us here. This will also be recorded. And hope you treat your husbands, your fathers to a very special day this Sunday. All right, guys, be well, be blessed, and as always, let's continue to win. All right, guys, have a great night.
All right.